The skies burned red over the last colony. Commander Rawl stood on the broken wall of Outpost Vora, watching black smoke rise into the clouds. Fires raged across the fields. His people, once proud and strong, now lay scattered, broken, or gone. The enemy, the Kareth, had taken every world before this. And now they were here dot behind him. Young soldiers moved like ghosts, tired and afraid. The medics were out of supplies. A power grid was collapsing. Food was low. Rawl knew what came next, and he hated himself for still hoping. They had sent the signal, the final distress call, but no one answered. They had begged the Galactic Council for weeks. Every system close by had gone silent. Every ally too afraid to face the Kareth. And Earth, the mysterious death world, had said nothing. Rawl looked to the sky, whispering, "So this is how it ends." Just then, the ground shook. Loud boom echoed across the valley. The air itself seemed to hum. His second-in-command, Yarrow, ran up, breathless. "Sir?" "Something's entering orbit." Rawl blinked. "More Kareth?" Yarrow shook his head. "No, we don't know. It's massive. It came in fast. Too fast." The command tower screens flickered, then went dark. Just before it did, one word appeared in bright red text. Landing. No frequency. No origin. No signature. Just one message. The soldiers stared at each other. Some dropped to their knees, thinking it was the end. Then the sky opened. Dark pods huge. Black metal cylinders screamed through the clouds. Dozens of them. They didn't slow. They didn't warn. They just fell. And then they hit. The impact shook the earth like a quake. Dust clouds burst across the ruined hills. Lightning cracked across the sky, though no storm had formed. The soldiers rushed to the wall. Rawl grabbed his scope. The first pod hissed open. From the shadows stepped something tall, humanoid, armored head to toe, in matte black plating, covered in strange glowing lines. The figure moved slowly, scanning the battlefield. Then another stepped out, and another. Within seconds, a full squad had formed a perfect formation. No words, no signals, no flags, just cold silence. Rawl's heart beat faster. "Are those humans?" Yarrow whispered. "They don't look like the humans from the council meetings." They weren't. These were different. One of them stepped forward and raised a strange-looking device to his face. His voice came through every speaker, every headset, every comm still working. "This world is not dead yet. Hold the line. We'll finish it." Rawl gripped the railing. Who are they talking to? "Us," Yarrow whispered. Across the broken battlefield, the Kareth were confused. Their scanners couldn't read the drop pods. Their signals were jammed. Then, from the humans, came the first strike. No lasers. No slow charges. No show. Just motion. Fast. Terrifying. The black-armored humans moved through the smoke like hunters. One dropped to his knees and fired a round that tore through 3 Kareth tanks. Another used a blade long and dark that cut like fire through enemy armor. They didn't speak. They didn't scream. They didn't stop. One soldier, barely out of training, asked aloud, "What are they?" An older medic replied, "Monsters from Earth." But Rawl saw something else. Behind the armor, behind the rage, was control, discipline, precision. These weren't just warriors. These were weapons. Hours passed. The humans took no rest. They cleared zone after zone, pushing the Kareth back for the first time in years. Rawl tried to speak to one of them, just one. The soldier turned, visor dark, and answered in a low voice, "We heard you long ago. Earth waits until the fire's real, not just smoke." Then he walked away. At midnight, Rawl looked up again. More pods entered orbit. Hundreds this time. The humans had not just arrived. They were deploying. And for the first time in years, Raoul felt something strange. Not relief. Not safety. Fear. Because whatever Earth had sent didn't come to rescue. They came to end it. The fire still burned across the valley. But now the screams were different. They were no longer cries of defeat. They were howls of terror from the RETH. The alien enemy that had crushed planets for years now ran, stumbled and burned as Earth soldiers tore through them. The black-armored warriors moved like shadows, silent and fast. They didn't pause. They didn't check for orders. They just destroyed everything in their path. Commander Raoul had never seen anything like it. He watched from the broken control tower, gripping the edge of a smashed console. His soldiers stood beside him, stunned. Below, the humans advanced with perfect rhythm, every step placed like they'd done this 1,000 times. One soldier raised his rifle and fired once. A Kareth transport exploded into metal and flame. Another human ran through open fire, dragging 2 wounded alien civilians behind him without slowing. The shots bounced off his armor like rain on steel. Who are these people? One of Raoul's lieutenants whispered. No one had an answer. Yarrow, Raoul's second in command, pointed toward a new shape walking through the smoke. A human taller than the rest stepped forward. His armor was heavier, more advanced. A red skull was painted on one shoulder plate. In one hand, he carried a long weapon that looked half cannon, half dash blade. He didn't run. He walked. Through fire, through wreckage, through bodies. Kareth soldiers tried to aim at him. He didn't stop. He raised the cannon and fired a shot so powerful it left a crater where 5 enemy soldiers had stood. The ground trembled. The dust turned to ash. That must be their leader, Raoul murmured. The alien. Officers around him were silent. No one dared speak as the human commander reached the front line. He looked over his shoulder and gave a single hand signal. His team vanished into the smoke, sprinting forward like wolves. Minutes later, reports came in. Zone 9 secured. Eastern Trench cleared. Kareth armor destroyed. All of it done by less than 50 humans. Raoul couldn't understand it. The same enemy they couldn't stop for years was falling apart under the weight of a few Terran soldiers. Just then, a loud clang echoed through the outpost's underground gate. 2 human soldiers were dragging something. No dash. Someone. A captured Kareth commander, half burned, still breathing. They dropped him in front of the alien medics and said, "Nothing." One of Raoul's younger officers asked nervously, "Why?" "Bring him here?" The taller human, the one with the red skull, replied calmly, "Your people needed a symbol. So we brought you one. We don't fight wars to rescue. We fight them to end." Then he turned and walked away. Night fell fast, but no one slept. Every hour, more pods landed. Some were empty. Some carried heavy walkers' machines shaped like beasts, with glowing red sensors and strange weapons. Some carried what looked like cages holding massive, armor-clad beasts with neural implants in their skulls. They growled but followed their human handlers without resistance. Raoul watched, stunned. "What are those?" A quiet voice answered beside him. It was the young alien medic who had been watching everything. She said, "They're not machines. They're bred on Earth. They're living weapons." "Are they controlled?" "No, they're loyal." Suddenly, a message played across every screen. It was a broadcast from Earth. A calm, human voice spoke with no anger, no joy, just truth. "To all council members and surviving colonies, this is Earth Command. You abandoned them. We didn't. We're not here for politics. We're not here for alliances. We're here to remove the threat. This war ends now. Stay out of our way." Then the message ended. Commander Raoul leaned back. Stunned. Ro looked at him. What do we do now? Raoul took a deep breath. We hold the line. He looked to the battlefield below, where black-armored humans stood tall under the burning sky. They walk through fire, he said, because they've already survived worse. Commander Raoul could no longer sleep. It wasn't the fear of death. He had lived with that for months. No, this was something else. Something strange had entered the war. Something that didn't follow the rules. Earth had finally answered the galaxy's cries, and they had sent Deathworlders. He sat alone in the war room, watching blurry drone footage. It showed the humans moving through enemy lines like hunters in the dark. One video showed a soldier taking a direct blast from a Kareth cannon, then standing back up, helmet cracked, blood on his face, but still walking. They weren't like the rest of the Council species. They didn't retreat. They didn't wait. They attacked with certainty, like they knew they were going to win. Yarrow entered quietly. Commander, one of them wants to speak with you. Reel looked up, surprised. One of the humans? Yarrow nodded. The leader. The one with the red skull on his shoulder. Minutes later, Raoul stood face to face with the man. He was taller up close. His armor hissed softly, small tubes along the back pulsing with a blue mist. His helmet was off now, revealing a scarred face with sharp eyes. Calm, cold, controlled. Raoul forced himself to speak. You saved my colony. The man shrugged. It's not saved yet. There was silence between them. Then Raoul asked the question burning in every mind across the galaxy. Why did Earth wait so long to help us? The human looked straight into his eyes. Because you weren't ready for what we'd send. The man sat across from him and placed a small round device on the table. A hologram activated. It showed Earth blue, green, beautiful, but dangerous. Volcanoes, storms, mountains that tore into the sky. Animals with teeth longer than arms. Forests darker than night. And then, training camps. Rows of humans running with gear heavier than their bodies. Others fighting machines, each other, or wild creatures. A pit arena where a man fought blindfolded against two armed opponents and won. You call Earth a death world, the man said. You're not wrong. It makes us what we are. Raoul's voice trembled. So, you send your strongest? The human shook his head. No, we send the ones who survived that training. The hologram changed. Now, it showed massive ships hiding in space behind moons. Stealth units. Invisible carriers. Earth's real military wasn't just powerful. It was silent. We watched the war, the man continued. We watched as the Council ignored your calls. We watched the Kareth spread. Why didn't you help sooner? Raoul asked. The man leaned forward. Because you asked for diplomats. We don't send warriors to meetings. We send them to end things. Suddenly, an alarm rang through the outpost. New enemy movement. The Kareth were trying to break the southern line again. Reel stood up quickly. We need to. The human was already walking toward the door. We're handling it. Outside, the wind blew heavy ash across the battlefield. The Kareth came in numbers hundreds. Giant beasts with spiked armor charged the walls. Tanks rolled behind them. Explosions lit the hills, but from the smoke, Earth's Deathworlders emerged again. Not running, walking. The lead human raised his blade high. It shimmered red under the smoke-filled sky. Behind him, more soldiers moved without fear. Then came something new. A creature part metal, part beast charged beside them. It looked like a black lion with steel claws and glowing red eyes. A rider sat on its back, a human woman, long rifle across her back, calm as the moon. Rail gasped. Even his own soldiers had frozen in awe. The Kareth charged, But Earth's warriors didn't slow Dot. They met the enemy head-on. Explosions, roars, metal clashing against bone. It was a storm of violence, and Earth stood at the center, unmoved. Dot back in the tower. A young alien officer whispered, "They aren't here to win." Yarrow answered without blinking, "They're here to erase the enemy." By nightfall, the battlefield was silent again. Bodies lay scattered across the plains, and once more, the humans had not lost a single soldier. Rail stared at the dark figures walking back into the smoke, and he understood. Earth's voice had never been loud, but when it finally spoke, it roared. The sun rose over the battlefield, but its light felt cold. Smoke still floated in the sky. The ground was black with ash and burnt metal. The Koreth were gone. What few remained had vanished into the mountains during the night. Commander Raoul stood near the ruined gates of Outpost Vora, watching Earth's soldiers move with quiet purpose. They were not celebrating. They didn't cheer, didn't rest, didn't speak unless needed. They were preparing for something worse. One of the humans, tall, armored in deep blue, stood beside a strange machine, folding long black panels into place. It wasn't a weapon. Not yet, Yarrow whispered. What are they building now? No one answered. Suddenly, an alien scout ran up to Raoul. "Sir, a new Koreth force is forming just over the hills, thousands. They've brought in their heaviest war machines. This is a final push." Raoul turned to the nearest human, who was cleaning his blade. "We must fall back to the inner walls." The man shook his head slowly. "You'll stay where you are. We'll handle the rest." Not long after, the human leader, the one with the red skull, walked to the open field. Behind him stood just 20 of Earth's warriors. The Koreth army filled the valley across from them. Tanks, giants, armored beasts. It looked like the end. And yet, Earth's warriors moved forward. They weren't running toward the enemy. They were walking. The Koreth general, a massive four-armed beast, stepped forward and gave a growling command. The enemy charged. The ground shook. Hundreds of Koreth soldiers screamed as they ran toward the thin line of Terran fighters. Raoul's heart stopped. They'll be crushed. Then he heard the first hum, a low vibration from the black device Earth's troops had said earlier. It lifted from the ground and opened like a flower-bright blue light pouring from its core. It wasn't a bomb. It was a field breaker. Koreth weapons jammed. Their energy shields flickered and died. The humans moved in no formation. No confusion. Each one picked a direction and became a storm. One soldier leaped onto a Koreth beast and stabbed down through its armored skull. Another dragged 5 enemies into a trench and sealed it with a grenade. They were everywhere, moving too fast, too precise. Their armor bent but didn't break. Their minds seemed far ahead of the battle. Raoul watched in silence. This wasn't war. This was execution. Suddenly, from the west, the sky cracked open. A new Koreth dropship entered the battlefield, aiming its massive cannons at the outpost. Raoul shouted, "It's targeting the civilians." Before he could move, a shadow passed overhead. One of Earth's war beast's metal spine, blood-red sensors, giant wings launched from the hilltop with its rider. The rider aimed mid-air and fired once. Boom. The dropship shattered before it reached the ground. Flaming debris crashed in the far canyon. Down on the field, the Koreth lines broke. They had never run from a fight, never turned their backs. Until now, Earth's Death Worlders had broken more than their armor. They had broken their will. Hours later, only silence remained. A few Koreth survivors crawled away, leaving weapons behind. The once fearless army had been shattered by a force they never understood. Commander Raoul approached the human leader. As he stood beside the broken enemy banners, You've done what no one else could, Rahl said. They've fled. The human didn't look at him. They'll be back, so we'll be waiting. Rahl hesitated. Then he asked softly, Do you ever fear anything? The man looked up at the smoke-filled sky. Only silence. Later. That night, Rahl reviewed drone footage. In one clip, he saw a Terran soldier helping a wounded alien child walk through rubble. The child was crying. The soldier held her hand, gently covering her from falling ash. He wore the same armor that had cut down monsters. Rahl whispered to himself, They are monsters to the enemy, but they're human to those they protect. By morning, Earth's ships were reloading supplies. The soldiers didn't sleep. They didn't ask for thanks. They only checked their weapons and waited for the next battle. And now, every race in the galaxy knew the Kareth could be broken. But it took humans from a death world to do it. Asterisk. Far above the battlefield, in the shining towers of the galactic capital, the council gathered in panic. The room, once filled with calm voices and slow debate, now echoed with shouts. Earth has deployed military forces without permission. They're breaking every treaty. No, they're saving lives. They waited. They watched us suffer. Dozens of alien leaders argued across a long circular table. Giant screens behind them replayed shaky footage from the outpost. Earth's black-armored warriors ripping through the Kareth. The battlefield turned into dust. The enemy retreating for the first time in 7 years. The fear was no longer about the K-RETH. Now. They feared Earth. Council leader Viren. A thin, silver-skinned elder stood slowly. Enough. The room fell quiet. He spoke with calm, but his voice shook slightly. We must face the truth, he said. The Kareth did not run from us. They ran from them, from the humans. He turned to a screen showing Earth's symbol, a blue circle, with a red slash through a starfield. For too long, we have ignored the Terrans, mocked them, feared their planet. Yes, but not their people. That was a mistake. Another council member growled. They didn't answer any calls for years. Now they arrive with monsters and silence. Varen looked around the room. Would you rather they had never come? Silence. Meanwhile, in a private chamber, council intelligence agents played a secret recording. It was audio from a human transmission intercepted just before the first Terran drop. A calm voice, male, spoke. We do not fight for land. We do not fight for flags. We fight for the ones left behind. You asked for help. We came with the only answer we know: fire. The council listened in silence. Then a reptilian ambassador said, We thought Earth was quiet because they were weak, but they were silent because they were waiting. A second voice added, No, they were watching. Hours later, the council voted. Some wanted to speak with Earth, immediately offer them a seat at the table. Others feared Earth would never sit. They didn't ask for approval. One alien leader said, They acted without us. They didn't come to join us. They came to finish the war we couldn't. Back at Outpost Vora, Commander Rahl watched a small drone land beside him. It opened, revealing a screen and the face of Council Leader Varen. Commander Rahl, Varen said calmly, we need you to speak with Earth's forces. We must understand their intentions before we lose control of everything. Rahl glanced at the Terran warriors outside. Some were sharpening their blades. Others repaired armor. None looked like they were done. He replied. They don't take orders. Not even from me. Still, later that day, Rahl approached the Terran leader. The man with the red skull on his shoulder stood alone, overlooking the valley. Rahl explained the council's request. They want to meet, to talk. The Terran didn't turn around. They had years to talk. Now we act. Rahl stepped forward. They're afraid of you? Good. They fear Earth's strength. They should. Raoul hesitated. Then he asked softly, "What do you want?" For the first time, the Terran turned to look him in the eye. "We want what the Council never gave. An end." Back at the Council Tower, another alert appeared. Multiple human fleets were now active across the outer colonies. No warning, no message. Just silent movement and enemy destruction. Council Leader Varen sat back, rubbing his temples. "They're not joining our war," he whispered. "They're ending it on their terms." On every screen across the galaxy, one image began to spread. A human warship massive, dark, shaped like a predator hovered in orbit over a burning enemy base. Behind it, Terran flags flapped in the solar wind, not claiming land, but warning. Others. No signal came from the ship. Just one word broadcast in every language. Enough. Asterisk. They should have left Earth alone. They should have run when they had the chance. But instead, the Kareth tried one last strike. Commander Raoul stood near the central command post of Outpost Vora. Around him, engineers repaired turrets, soldiers helped civilians, and Earth's warriors stood silently, unmoving like statues of war. Then the alarm screamed. Yarrow, out of breath, rushed to Raoul's side. "Sir, the Kareth have launched a full assault. Thousands. From all sides." Raoul's heart sank. "How many?" "More than we've ever seen. And sir, they've brought siege weapons." Raoul looked toward the mountains and saw it. A walking fortress, 20 stories tall, crawling with Kareth. A Sukraweepon, towering like a beast from a nightmare. Even Earth's Deathworlders had never faced this before. But Earth was ready. Because Earth was always ready. The human leader read. Skull, as Raoul called him, now stood at the front gate. He stared at the walking fortress as it neared. Then he gave a hand signal. All Terran units turned at once and marched to their war positions. Then came the monsters. From deep inside Earth's dropships. They released the Titan-class walkers machines, taller than buildings, shaped like armored. Wolves and dragons. Their claws could crush tanks. Their roars made the skies tremble. Each was bonded to a Terran operator. One by one, the beasts launched forward, their red eyes lighting the battlefield like fire. And then, from orbit, came something even more terrifying. Project Blackstar. A stealth-class warship so advanced it was invisible to sensors. No one saw. It come. No warning, no light, only the voice. Command confirmed. Permission to unleash. Suddenly, the sky split open. A beam of compressed gravity energy crashed into the mountain pass. The Kareth fortress collapsed in seconds. The earth cracked like paper, and the enemy screamed as the ground swallowed them whole. Raoul could barely breathe. What was that? Yarrow's voice trembled. It wasn't a weapon. It was a warning. On the battlefield, the few Kareth who survived the blast turned and ran. But Earth's Deathworlders did not let them go. They hunted them down, not with rage, but with perfect discipline. No unnecessary killing. No mercy where it wasn't earned. It was like watching wolves clean a battlefield. Rel saw one human carrying an injured Kareth child. The same soldier who had ended dozens of warriors minutes before. He didn't speak. He just handed the child to medics and walked back into the dust dot by nightfall. It was over. The Kareth were no more. Every commander, every war engine, every screen gash silenced. Inside the command tent. Council Leader Varen appeared once more via holoscreen. His voice was tired, weak. "You've done it," he said. "You've broken them. The war is over." The human leader stood across from the screen, helmet under his arm. His eyes were cold. Focused. "No," he replied. "The war you allowed is over. But Earth never forgets who let it happen." Varen froze. "What does that mean?" The human stepped closer to the screen. We're not part of your council. We're not part of your galaxy. We came because you failed. Then he ended the transmission. Silently. Without waiting. Without fear. Later that night, Raoul walked the battlefield. Wreckage lay everywhere, smoking tanks, broken armor. Kareth weapons turned to dust. He found a message burned into the side of one of Earth's landers. It said, "Don't wake what you can't kill." Above the world, in orbit, the black starship disappeared. No signal. No noise. Just gone, like a ghost vanishing into the stars. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy had peace, not because they chose it, but because Earth allowed it. The stars were quiet again. No more cries for help. No more Kareth. War fleets. No more smoke in the sky. The war was over, but the galaxy was not celebrating. It was watching and waiting. Commander Raoul stood on the edge of a cliff overlooking the valley below. Once it was a battlefield. Now wild grass was beginning to grow again. Broken tanks had been pushed aside. Children played near the old bunkers. Life had returned, but Earth's warriors were gone. They had vanished as suddenly as they came. No goodbyes. No demands. No medals. Just silence. Yarrow walked up beside him. "Do you think they'll come back?" Raoul looked toward the sky. "Only if we deserve them." In the council chambers far away, everything had changed. A new law was written. Across all sectors. Do not interfere with Earth. Do not contact unless called. Do not provoke the Death World. It wasn't a peace treaty. It was a warning. In hidden files. Council analysts studied Earth's military footage. They saw things they couldn't understand: soldiers who moved faster than expected, weapons that ignored physics, or beasts that responded to thought commands. And worst of all, they saw emotion, the kind that didn't burn worlds. It protected them. One report read, "Their strength is not rage, it is loyalty." And that makes them unstoppable. Back on Vora, a small team found something left behind in the command bunker. A metal case. Inside was a black data drive. No encryption. No traps. They played it. It was a message. The voice was calm, familiar. It was Red Skull, Earth's commander. "This isn't a threat. This isn't a message of war. This is a mirror. You let your people suffer. We didn't. You waited for votes. We moved with purpose. You feared what would happen if we got involved. Now, you know." Then silence. Then one final line. "We belong to no one." The message ended. No signature. No flag. Just truth. Years later, children on Vora would grow up hearing stories about Earth's warriors. They would play games, pretending to be black-armored soldiers who never ran, never spoke much, but always won. They would draw the symbol of Earth in the dust, a red line crossing a black star. Their teachers never told them what it meant, but the children understood anyway. And far away, beyond council space, a dark fleet drifted near a dying star. Silent. Empty. Looking. Until it blinked. The ships came alive for only seconds. They scanned. They turned away. Then they vanished. Again. Still watching. Still waiting. Because Earth didn't fight for power. Earth didn't fight for praise. Earth fought for those who had no one left. And when that call came, they answered as monsters, but left as legends. Asterisk.